Hello, back down in the secret location of our studio while we're all in isolation or staying at home, and I'd like to say hello to everyone who knows us and just to reassure everyone we're all okay, and I hope that you're all okay staying at home. So I've finished cutting now, so this is the rough colour idea pattern we've got here. I've finished cutting 3 identical panels that we're doing for a commission, and here's one laid out ready, and these were the petals of the flowers of the daffodils I was cutting earlier. So what I'm going to do to start off first of all is just talk about how we line the battens up. So I've got some doorstop here which I use as battens. You can see they're pretty well battered, but they're nice and straight. And then we've got the cutting pattern here below, and first of all I need to stretch some lead, and then I'll come back to the tool. So I've got temporary vice set up here, so I'm going to just clamp the end of the lead in there. Now when we get the lead out of the boxes, it's all relaxed and floppy, and that's not particularly good to work with. So what I do is clamp it into a vice. I've got a different vice down the other workshop, or you can get the little cam vices as well, just to push it in. I'm just using a pair of pliers there to grab the end. Now obviously the thicker the lead, this is 1/2 inch lead that I'm using for the border, the harder it is to stretch, but you don't need to stretch it much. So I'm just going to put my knee there because the benches aren't weighted in. Just give that a little. Not too much, because you just want it to straight up now. You can see that's nice and straight. If you stretch it too much, and this is easier to do with the thinner leads, you'll fatigue it. And so what that does, it'll add fatigue into the metal. So over time, that's where you'll get cracks. So it's just a little straightening pull. So you can see now that's a lot more easier to use. So before I start, I'm just going to roughly cut my edge lengths before putting the battens in. And this is my lead knife there. And so what you'll also notice is that I've got gloves on as well, and that's because I'm handling lead every day. Now the health and safety advice on lead is that it's not absorbable by skin. Well, that's fair enough, but it still gets on your hands. So even if you may be washing your hands a lot, there's still little bits under your nails, scratch your moustache if you've got a moustache, or when you're eating sandwiches and you've forgotten to clean your hands, there's always a chance of ingestion of the lead. So I wear gloves to protect my hands from getting dirty from lead. So when I take the gloves off, they can go in the bin, and then I can wash my hands knowing that there's not like any lead in my pores that then can be transferred. Now, because I'm using lead every day, I'm at a more risk of an accumulative effect of lead, as if you're just doing it once in a while, then you're not. But we like to use gloves, and I'd like to, if you take up stained glass, that you use gloves as well. It's to keep yourself safe. So I've got the lead here, and I'm just going to roughly mark where we're going on this. So I've roughly marked that. So here's my lead knife here, nice sharp edge. I've got a little diamond sharpener there that I'll always give the knife a little go over to keep it sharp. And then this side's your hammer side, and I'll see that later on when we get to lead up the rest of the panel. I'll be using horseshoe nails. Just grab those out. Horseshoe nail to help hold all the pieces in place while I'm leading up, and that's why I use that side. But first of all, I'm just going to cut this lead now. It's always best to cut your lead roughly to length when you're using it, to save a big piece of lead swinging around the workshop and bending, because you have to take care of your lead. It's quite robust, but take care of it. So when I'm cutting, it's a downwards push. Again, I'm near the edge of the bench. Now this is what you're aiming for. This is an exaggerated version of what's happened. You wiggle the blade as you're pushing down. So you can see there, I'm vibrating the blade. But don't rush, take your time and let the blade just work through. So that's why it's important to have it nice and sharp. It's not to go quick through the lead. If you go quick through, you'll bend the lead and misshape the heart. So you can see now, from me pushing through, has made that round. So what I want to do is use the knife and my thumb just to open that up. And then I also want to check that it's square this way as well for my joints, but this doesn't matter too much on the edges. So moving on to my patterns here and how I line it up. Now, I produce my patterns with my computer software, so that gives me on the pattern the heart line of the cane, which is the black, and you can see the lighter shaded grey is the face. So on the edge bits, if you go over to the edge, you can see here the black line is the heart, and the wider grey bit is the face. So it's representing that. So I can just use my batten on the pattern. But if you've hand drawn your pattern and just used the heart width of that, you need to line your piece up now. If I do it for this pattern, you'll be able to see better. So I use, so here's the heart line, and there's the heart of the lead there. So I'll make sure the lead's over the shaded bit, so the face bit is equal there, and also the heart line is over your drawn heart line there. So the heart of the lead cane is over the heart. So if you haven't got the luxury of this computer program and you've drawn the pattern by hand, then that's where you can mark where your lead needs to go. So I'll mark that at this end. So I'll start at one end there, making sure that's lined up there. I'm using normal pin hammer there just to bang that in, and I'll just double check that at the middle, make sure that's there, which it is. So you can see that's in line. Like that. And then at the top. So I'll tap that in. What I'll do is I'll bang those nails down flush in a minute, just so it's not too loud, and then I'll do the same down the bottom here. Now you can use a set square just to level these up. There's a level. So I'll level that up there. Like that. Make sure it's roughly level that way. Give that a little tap. Now another thing you can do, if you're, depending on your eyesight, I've got my glasses on, but to help you see if everything is in line, you can use a straight edge of glass, or even like, well, I can use the straight edge of this and put that into my lead cane there. So where it's joined up, can you, I don't know if you can see, yeah, there. You can then see the edge. I'll show you on this one, coming this way as well. So with that in there, you can see that's where your glass would sit. So you can see that's not tight, super tight up to the heart line there, but it's in the right place. So if you want to make it easy for you to see where that line is, you can do that. Put a piece of glass in or something with a straight edge. Hope that makes sense. So I've done that one there. Move that along to there. So there, there's the first piece in, so I can put my lead along the bottom. Now with this here, because I've got the pattern that gives me the face width, I can eye that down there and mark it. Take that off. Again, remember the wiggle. It's that little wiggle to dig through your lead and press down. Straighten my edges up, because those little pinches, it's surprising when you come to put your glass in, a little pinch over of the lead actually then stops the glass going in. So even though you've checked all your glass to your pattern and used the grinder, which is over there if you've got one, to make sure just that any little sticking out bits have been ground off. If the lead pinches it and you put the glass in, it pushes it out and you think, well, that fitted a minute ago, and it can get frustrating. So always make sure you keep your ends nice and tidy. So I've done that one there. Again, I'm taking my lead here, roughly marking it. There. So the wiggle all the way through. So again, I'm just checking my ends are nice and tidy, square. It'll go up to that. So the top piece of lead, when it goes to put in, is going to go on there. So that's nice and straight. So that's the edging in. And with the pattern, it's important to try and think when you lead your pattern up which way round you lead it, because even though I'm looking at this, for me, the right way round, it may not always be the best way to lead it up. You've got to think how all the pieces fit together. With this it is, because I'm starting in this corner and we'll be building up, and the way the leaves on the daffodils fit, they all fit better coming into this corner and then building across and then finishing the panel up at the top. So usually when you've done your pattern, that you've thought about how you're going to lead it up as well later on. So I'm now ready to start taking the glass from off the table here onto my pattern and leading up, but I need to stretch some more lead. So I'll see you in a bit when I've done that.